Hello dear viewers and welcome to the Musings of Maverick channel. I'm your host Maverick and today we're going to be starting a new series, Dr. Stone. So for any of you guys who are new here, let me give a quick overview of what my channel is about. So typically I divide my videos into 3 parts. I'll have an introduction or a recap part where I talk either about what the anime is or what happened last episode. There will be the blind reaction part in the middle and also a review, discussion, musing section at the very end. So they will all be timestamped below and you can just jump to whichever parts that you prefer. Now with that said, specifically for this anime, it's not going to be a blind reaction. In fact, I have read Dr. Stone in its original source form, which is a manga. And to be honest, it's probably one of my favorite manga works that I've encountered for the past, I guess, year or so, you could say. So let's talk a little bit about this manga first, right? This work first. Now, what exactly is it? Well, let me put it this way. Have you ever thought if you could go back in time to, let's say, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000 years ago, or, if it's an end of the world situation and you're the only one surviving, could you try to build humanity with the knowledge that you have of the modern world, right? Can you learn how to, or, there's a lot of these sort of survival channels or these primitive technology channels that are popping up on YouTube and are very popular as well, where they try to use, basic more antique methods of tool making and harvesting and building and eventually working their way up into more and more advanced stuff, right? So those are very compelling for people, and it's a nice thought experiment for me as well, normally, when I think, would I be able to survive if I were to go back to such a primitive environment, right? Well, that is essentially what Dr. Stone is. It's an end-of-the-world scenario where there's one super genius who has all the knowledge of the world within his head, is going to try and revive humanity through the power of science, right? So as you can expect, there are a lot of scientific topics in here. Mostly, I would say the majority of which would be chemistry, but of course it uses a lot of physics as well, and some biology, I guess you could say. With that said, however, it's definitely not hard science. It requires some suspension of disbelief in order to make it work, because they need to make it entertaining somehow, but at least the fundamentals are there. It is rooted in actual science, just sped up or made in more convenient ways, or simplified, if you will. So that's essentially all you need to know about Dr. Stone as of right now, since I'm not going to spoil too much about the story. Beyond that, the work itself, some people might say, hey, this looks kind of familiar to some other works I've seen. Well, the writer of this, the creator, Inagi Richiro, is actually also the one who created Eye Shield 21, right? So that is also a fairly popular anime / manga, I would say. I also read the manga as well. I love that one, even though I normally don't read sports manga that much. So you might see some reuse, or you might feel like these characters are quite familiar, because it is in the same art style as his past works. Now, the animation studio that's doing this is actually TMS Entertainment. Now, they are a super old school animation studio, although personally I've only seen, I think, Detective Conan from them. But anyways, they do a lot of works. They're a well-established player in the industry. In terms of the voice actors, really the only one that is really important would be the voice of the main character, and that is going to be played by Kobayashi Yusuke. Otherwise, probably most people know him as the voice of Subaru from ReZero, or if you've been watching my channel, past season I reviewed Kenjin no Mago, he is the voice of the protagonist Shin. Right? So, we'll see how he fits with the main protagonist of this series, the Dr. Stone, if you will. Because Dr. Stone character is essential in making this series. Let me just put it out there right now. It is a very protagonist-driven series. In order to make it interesting, like I said. It's science, and of course, it features a lot of stuff, simplifying it or whatnot to make it interesting, but also the characters are what carries this through. So, anyways, without further ado, let's just get into the episode number 1. Alrighty, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Yeah. Okay, his voice fits. Ah, the guy with the spiky hair is the main dude, if you couldn't tell yet. Okay, I would say they're doing a good job already. Like I said, emphasis on chemistry. Ah, there's his catchphrase. 10 billion%. Oh man, I can't wait for that scene. Ooh-hoo. Here we go. It's definitely much more epic in anime form. That was different languages. I heard Chinese. Was that Italian as well? And Portuguese, maybe? And yes, they are still conscious. Are we gonna have an opening for the first episode? Oh, no. Many, many years later. You know, even though I've been reading, I've been following the manga all the way up to now, it's still not quite, you know, we're still not quite at the stage where they're trying to figure out what exactly caused this. So, in that essence, you know, I'm the exact, in the same position as you guys, completely in the dark. Aha! Can you imagine being conscious all that time? Oh, sucks to be you guys. I'd say quite a few. Yeah, in this sense, he has pretty good instincts. Also, I have to say, I absolutely love the way that this mangaka draws female characters. Not only her, but also later on as well. Now, in case it wasn't obvious already, this dude is the all muscle no brains guy. Right beneath the tree. But if nothing else, he is one determined dude. So for that, respect. And I'm just having this smile on my face because I know what's gonna happen, so. Capedon. Woohoo! This dude. This dude. Can you imagine this dude? My god. And he's like, no biggie. Let's just get into what we should be doing right now. Remember what I was saying about primitive technology? Ah. Ah. Ah, phrasing, dude. In order to store food. Of course, the earliest humans were scavengers. Hunter-scavengers. Yeah, you probably shouldn't do that. Take small taste at first. Ah. This dude. true. I absolutely love Senku's facial expressions. Alright, is it time to do science? The sign outside the building says laboratory. Of course you need the yeast as well, but it's manageable. Touché. Like okay, I was just gonna say they skipped a lot of the different stuff, but oh, it's already ending already? This felt like nothing happened, to be honest. Yeah, you need to fire it one by one. How's he gonna cut his beard? No, no, never mind, never mind. It's still going on. They just skipped the, the mid part. Oh, here we go. Just like nothing happened. Yep. Oh, now the true ending. Okay, well, since this is the first episode, I'm gonna take a look at the ending, but I will be muting it just to avoid copyright issues. Well, actually, it could be the opening. You never know with animes. They might use the opening as the ending for the first episode. Well, that makes it obvious what he is. Oh! Are we gonna see... Oh yeah, this is a two-core anime. Aha! Really? Okay. Okay. Are they really gonna adapt that far? Okay, so is this... Oh no, it's just alright, that's it. Alrighty, so that was episode 1 of Dr. Stone, and boy, looking at that ending has got me hyped. It seems that they are, due to the characters and the sort of, the items that are being portrayed there, it seems that they're going to go pretty damn far into the actual manga, in terms of the adaption, right? Of course, it could just be trolling us and then saving for another season, but then again, this is a 2-core season, so there's at least 24 episodes, so they can cover quite a bit of distance if they want to, right? And honestly, see, here's the thing why I really like this, because in terms of this work, I would say that it does a gradual build up, and then it starts shooting up, and then it goes back down into a sort of a lull, and then shoots back up again. So it's nice that they will have this chance to, continue going on to new heights and keeping the pace up, right? So, especially the part in the latter chapters, oh man, it's really, this early episode means nothing compared to the latter chapters. Let me just tell you that. So I am definitely looking forward to that. In terms of what to actually, review or maybe deep dive a little bit further in terms of this episode. Again, normally I do a lot of theory crafting and predictions and stuff, but because I've already seen this before, I can't really comment too much, otherwise I'd just be spoiling you guys. However, I will say that, okay, maybe I can explain a little bit in regards to the events that happened within this episode. So the first one would be the kiln, right? Well, I guess the first one would be the winemaking. I actually commented there that they needed yeast. Well, you know, if we're going by technical standards, then yes, there is already yeast present on the grapes. Actually, there are naturally occurring yeast that that are already there. It's just that it has a very big chance of turning your wine into just vinegar instead. And so, but then again, they're not exactly trying to make this wine to drink, right? So it doesn't really matter that much, all things considered. The other part would be in regards to the kiln, right? So when they were trying to distill the alcohol, the kiln basically cracked and broke. So just a little bit of trivia for that part. The reason why that happened is because basically Senkuu did not dry that kiln slowly enough, right? So the reason that clay typically cracks is because there's still moisture trapped within the clay that isn't completely dried out yet. So when you heat it up to a temperature, that moisture in there actually turns into gas, and the pressure in it builds up so that it breaks the kiln and creates cracks, right? Sometimes it only creates some little hairlines and whatnot. Sometimes it can go, as we saw this episode, and completely break the kiln. So what he should have done was actually make that and then let it dry out slowly, both through air and also by adding, by firing it and adding the temperature, gradually building up the temperature to a certain degree. And that is basically what he did later, so then it did not break again. So just some quick parts of trivia in regards to this. Honestly, out of all the sciences, probably chemistry is my weakest, so I'm not going to comment too much on that part. Maybe there's some more experts around here that can really go through whether or not the stuff that Senkuu was saying this episode really made sense. I would presume that it is making sense because, like I said before, even though this isn't technically hard science, it's still rooted in foundations of science. So the science of it is generally fundamentally sound, is what I'm saying. So beyond that, right, how do I feel about this adaptation as a whole? Well, I gotta say, I absolutely enjoy it, right? Like I said, the voice of Senkuu absolutely fits to a T. The art is great, it's gorgeous, it captures the original feel of the manga, but because it's animated, it's even better. It's a gorgeous world. And this is the original art style that was in the manga, so good job on that as well. About the only part that I would say I have a little bit of a nitpick with would be in the dialogue that Senkuu says, right? Because in the original manga, he actually has a lot of these lines that are, really, really cool. Some are introspective, and some are just like, it's quotable lines, if you will. And I feel like it didn't completely managed to capture that within the dialogue in this episode. He had a few cool lines, but definitely not as much as I remember from the manga. This episode is basically 2 chapters of the manga, by the way. So I guess we'll see later on, right? But for now, I feel like that's the only part that I'm a bit disappointed by. Senkuu is basically a chuny, if you will, in some respect. Even though he's super smart, he's a super genius, like, come on, he stayed conscious and counted the seconds through 3,700 years, right? This dude is damn genius. But he is pretty chuny in some of his antics and some of the words he speaks, but it's also what makes his character brilliant as well. And, I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably wondering, if you're watching this blind, you're probably wondering why the heck he has E equals MC squared written on his clothing, right? That'll be explained later. There will be an episode later down the line, which, well, I'm assuming that they're going to adapt, right? There's a chapter later down the line that explains how Senkuu got to his current house and whatnot, what he was doing the 6 months before he freed his friend, right? So that I would say it's safe to assume they would adapt that part because that part is actually pretty important, and that's also the time when he will explain how E equals MC squared got onto his shirt, onto his clothing. Although honestly, it's not that good of a backstory in regards to E equals MC squared. But anyways, like I said, he's a chuuni, right? He is a chuuni in some regards. But anyways, I absolutely love this. Like I said, Dr. Stone, the manga, is one of my favorite animes to come out in recent years, and watching it being animated, properly animated, with quality animation and whatnot, quality voice acting, it brings big smiles to my face. Next episode, I would dare say, we're gonna get to some of the action. But, like I said, I won't spoil you guys. So, I hope I'll see you guys next week. Well, actually, next week I'm going to be on a business trip, so I won't be able to do my normal scheduling, so sorry guys. I'll probably combine it with episode 3 or something, or maybe sometime over the weekend. But, I will try to keep on doing this series, right? Or if, any feedback, if you will. What do you think about me doing a series where it's not technically blind for me? But hey, what matters is the anime is fun, right? I'll try to incorporate some other stuff, some other trivia or whatnot in regards to episode, like I did for this episode later on. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys next time.